Hey there, welcome to SharkCast, podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. I've already got the giggles. This show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the legends at the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Shout out to Mr. Paisleys, who supply our coffee for us. My name is Sam Shinazzi, OG 2015, lifetime supporter. And we have the Roosters coming to town, and we thought, who else could we get but the head rooster himself? He's been on the show before. You know him from such corporations as Fox Sports Stats, The Lab. He is the mayor of Batlow. He makes the best damn jam you'll ever taste. Although controversially lately it's gotten out that he does ask restaurants for money in return for giving favorable social media responses. Basically, he blackmails restaurants for money. That's the only blemish in his very long career in the sports media. Aaron Walter Wallace. Let's get it right again. Aaron Walter Wallace. How are you, my friend? Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Schnaz, I was going to say, it was very nice of you to say that you're having a podcast for the world's greatest club, the Roosters, and then you've just knifed me. So this might be a very short appearance. I'll be getting my people to talk to your people about the intro. We were told that questioning was off the table. We weren't going to talk about it.
Stop ripping off those restaurants, Walter. Come on.
Yeah.
So here we are. It's derby week for you and I. My team is back on track after a good win against the Dolphins. Got a bit hairy there towards the end. But we are currently in 9th place. And if I look at the ladder, the mighty Roosters are coming 8th. So it's a pretty big match this week. We are one win ahead of you. You've had one more bye. So pretty even there. And I think, defensively, we both conceded 382 points. There's a stat for you all. And you've scored a bit more in offense. So how has the season been for you so far, my friend? A bit inconsistent, I would imagine.
It seems to me for the Roosters, it's the season that's already got away, to be honest. Like, it would be nice to hang in there and make the finals. And we'll talk about the Roosters' good record at the back end of the year later, I'm sure. But there's just been so many losses this year that have really been disappointed. Losing to the Tigers a couple of weeks ago, I know there's a lot of players missing. The Tigers had players missing too, and that was just 2 points thrown away. And they've led at the 60-minute mark so many times and lost this year. They could have beaten Canberra. They could have beaten Canterbury. They should have beaten the Warriors, the Titans, and Souths. It's just really been so many points thrown away this year. And I guess fans from every team would say the same thing, but those the Canberra and the Canterbury losses really hurt. They should have won those two games. And had they won those, they'd be knocking on the door of the top four and really with a chance to push for something better this year with Sam Walker finally back on the park. But as it is, we're in this scrap. There's a few teams in this scrap for spots in the bottom half of the 8. I think the Sharks are in the same boat. So there's still 8 rounds to go. So I think that, anything can happen from here, but it's going to be tough to bust into the top 4. But just hoping that, there can be some form of consistency in the back end of the year. Haven't won 3 games in a row yet, the Roosters. So just looking to hopefully, with Sam Walker back, they'll try to get those combinations building. But of course, now Hugo Savala's out for a couple of weeks with a hand injury. But we'll see. Most of I guess you could say that the first pick team will be on the park for the next few weeks. Fingers crossed. So we'll see. We'll see where we're at. But it's been, it's good to be in the 8, but it's been a disappointing year as well.
Yeah, the Sharkies lost to Canberra on the bell, lost to West Tigers on the bell. There's a few more there. We led Brisbane by 100 points and let them in the last 20. So we can definitely relate to that. But you've had pretty shocking injury run, which is still continuing. We will get to the team list later, which has a major shock, which most people are aware of by now. But just looking at your run this year, you were 1 from 5 to start the year. You did beat Penrith in round 2, which is pretty cool. But very inconsistent, as you said. Haven't won more than 2 in a row. Although lately, what are you? 4 from 6. That's not too bad. Strangely, you've lost a few games at home. What's that about?
Haven't had a great record at Allianz this year. It's it's been a couple of those disappointing performances where they should have won. Definitely the Titans game they should have won. was one of the ones that definitely threw away there at Allianz. And it's just been the same thing all year. I've always said, Naz, and you'll know that I've said this, that when the Roosters are good, they're very, very good. But when they're bad, they are awful. And it's been the same this year. They've scored a couple of that Nwangani Tawasi try he scored against the Bulldogs, probably argued for try of the year. There've been a couple that they've just bombed at the last moment where there's flick passes and chip and chases, and they think they're the Harlem Globetrotters. And I guess this is why they're looking at signing someone like Daly Cherry Evans just to try and calm them down a little bit. And that was, we've spoke many times how we said Cooper Cronk's superpower at the Roosters was just getting everyone to calm down, because they get on a roll and their tackle starts clicking, and then it's like, oh, we've got to score off every set. It's like, can you guys just calm down? And yeah, it's the same this year. A lot of panic play when they don't need to.
How are you feeling about DCE coming? Because it's all but done. Are you happy with that?
Yes, and I think he's been criticised this year, and his form in Origin 1, his game wasn't very good. But if you look at I know stats can't tell you all the stories, but he's right up there in terms of setting up tries this year for halves. And Manly ahead of both the Roosters and the Sharks at the moment. So they're obviously doing something right. And they've had a few injuries as well. And I think, he's getting a bit older, so obviously there's going to be times when his defence is maybe a bit lacking and he's not as quick as he used to be. But in terms of that experienced half to maybe help guide Sam Walker and Hugo Savala and maybe a couple of the other younger guys coming through, it seems to me Sandon Smith's on the outer, so he's probably going to be the player to go to make way for DCE. But I guess it's a risk signing somebody so old that's been in a club for so long. But, he's not Cooper Cronk, but it worked when we signed Cooper Cronk. So maybe it can have a similar effect on the team if that's what it does, in fact, end up happening.
And you got to think he's going to a more adjusted club on and off the field, better coach, I think a better squad overall, if you think about the Dravojeviches at the end of their career, etc. So he'll only rise with that.
I can't imagine that he would be coming without properly discussing with Robbo and the rest of the coaching team around, like, this is what your role's going to be, this is what we want you to do. And if he's still keen to come and do that, then and Robbo's won 3 comps, you can't argue with that. So all coaches make decisions that fans scratch their heads at, one of which we'll talk about very shortly. But I think that they obviously have a plan, the plan for DCE. I think they may have had the same plan for the player we're going to talk about in a minute this year. That didn't work out. So, I don't know. It's a bit, I can't criticize it too much until you see it happen, and it could be a genius move and it could fail horrendously. So we'll see how it plays out.
So looking at your squad, there was a lot of criticism this year about you let a lot of guys go, a lot of guys retired. It's a young squad with some obvious great veterans there. But if I'm looking at your back five for this week, and you've got Billy Smith in the centres, Robert Toyer coming off Origin series, and Marky N on the wing, like, they're 3 guys who you probably wouldn't have thought wouldn't necessarily reach the heights so soon, but they're all going really well. And so if you build on that next year and throw in DCE, that's a great example of bringing the youth in.
Yeah, Robert Toyer's been a revelation in the centres. I think everybody sort of expected he would be good, but to play Origin and probably dominate Latrell, I would think, it's fair to say, for the Origin series. It's just great to have him come through. Obviously, everyone's freaking out with Joe Manu leaving this year, and it's like, Roosters going to be short in the centres. It's the backs is probably like we're not short at all, really, in terms of Nwangani Tawasi. There's already talk about the Wallabies are desperate to get him back because he's going so well. So, he's adapted really quickly. Still has a few moments in defence, I think it's fair to say, but he's learning and he makes up for it well and truly in attack. He's not quite SKD areas. I think he's probably a little bit more skillful than SKD, but he still has that little bit of maybe it's a rugby union background thing of the whole, because there's never want to die with the ball, so he's always desperate to get the ball away. So he loves a chip kick or a flick pass, which when they come off, it's spectacular. But he's still learning, so it's great. And then a couple of the young guys coming through in the forwards as well, I think have done a spectacular job. So they've blooded a lot of young players this year, And I think that, it's definitely looking to now whether they have thought this year was a holding year or whatnot, or just a sort of a development year and we'd see what happened. But bringing a whole bunch of those young guys through, a bunch of who played really good against the Sharks in that round 12 game, and we had the bunch of guys out for Origin. I think that, it sure puts us in good stead for the years coming through.
I mean, White is now a first grader. Collins, obviously, Crichton. I don't know much about Fekete. I've been watching him a bit lately. Radley's there. But Connor Watson as well, like now plays big minutes. He's a rep player. He's solid every week. He's not sort of like a showy hooker, but he gets the job done.
Very handy player to have, that someone that can play. And I think it's sort of the role that they wanted Brandon Smith to play as well, but that sort of didn't work out in terms of he can play hooker, he can play at lock, he could probably drop into the halves at a pinch if he was needed. It's just good to have a player with that kind of utility value. But he's running from dummy half is really good, and sort of, but even next year when he'll probably move back to lock, I think he's just a great player to have. Again, his form in Origin probably wasn't the best. And I mean, all of New South Wales probably didn't have a great Origin series. I think it's fair to say, but I think that, just having a player with that utility value is a very good thing for the club.
Now, aside from immense shock, what were your thoughts on the Roosters Sharks game up at Gosford the other month?
I've got to be honest, I was in Bathurst working on a game, and I decided that I wasn't going to watch it because I knew we were going to get flogged. And so I'd left the game at Bathurst, and we went to a pub to have dinner. And then I walked past the TV and saw the score. My first instinct was that the guys that were working on the game had made a horrible mistake. I needed to figure it out. And then I ended up in a brewery and saw the last few minutes of the game. And I've watched the highlights of it. See, it was just, this is what I say about the ups and downs of the Roosters this year. That was a game they absolutely were entitled to lose with the players that we had out. The Sharks are pretty much full strength, and the young guys they killed it. And there is that potential there for the squad to do those things, but and then they can turn up, and the same basically squad of young guys turns up against the understrength Tigers and stank it up for half an hour to start the game. And I guess that happens with young players. It's probably something you expect, that they'll be hot and cold sometimes, but that was one of the high points of the season. I think might even be our best win of the season to this point. I think just with the players that were out.
So your pack was Makatoa, some guy called Benaya Aioli playing hooker, Fekete playing in the front row, Egan Butcher, your boy Wong and Radley, and the bench was Docker Clay, someone called Taylor Lasalu, Blake Steep, and someone called Xavier Var.
Yeah, it was really and because I'm a long way out of the loop now, like even I recognize the names, but like I've really never seen any of those guys play before in terms of playing lower grades. And just to have them come through, and sometimes even this year, look at the team and go, who the hell is that? But they've nearly all of the young guys that have come through have been at stages of spectacular success. So that's what we talked about. I think it should in the coming years. Obviously some of them will leave and go for different opportunities and whatnot. But if you can keep the good young guys coming through, it's always a recipe for continued success, I think.
So some close games of late. You had a loss against the Raiders by 2. You beat Newcastle by 4. Lost the Tigers by 2. Beat the Dragons by 7. A couple of other bigger games in there as well. Did you see the game against the Dragons last week at Cogra?
I did watch that, and it was the first 15, 20 minutes. I was like, here we go again. It was definitely a shootout where both teams just were incapable of defending for the first half. It seemed to go back and forth. The Dragons got a lead, but the second half, the Roosters played really well. They controlled the ball. They didn't make stupid errors, and they got back for the win, and that was what they gave the Tigers too much of a lead. Very similar games, really, the Tigers game and the Dragons game, in that the Roosters started really slow. They gave up a lead, and then against the Tigers, it was a bridge too far. They couldn't come back. Would have been the club's biggest ever comeback. They weren't quite there. They fell for a couple of points short. But then last week, the Dragons got a lead. They weren't too far ahead, and just the experienced players, Sam Walker being back. Victor Radley had a great game last week. It's nice to see him back. Seeing him in headgear was a bit different. So He'd probably wear that for their own. I don't know if the headgear actually does anything to help concussion, but he obviously thought it might. So Victor in the headgear with the big try celebration at the end scored the match winner. And yeah, I think the experienced players stood up in the second half, and they're going to need to do it for the rest of the season.
Now, what have you made of the Sharkies this year? Also a bit inconsistent, a bit down on where they probably thought they were going to be. What have you made of the Sharkies this year?
A lot of my Sharks opinions come through my dad, Shinazzi. As you know, he's a big Sharks fan, and he's been absolutely blowing up at their form this year. He hasn't been happy. He's wanted a bunch of the players in reserve grade. He wants them all dropped. I don't know that that's going to happen. I think from what I've seen, I think it's very harsh on Nico Hines. Everyone gives it to poor Nico, and I think that it's very difficult for halves when the players around them don't perform as well, and the halves cop the blame. Now, obviously, his form hasn't been superb, but I don't think he's been as bad as a lot of people have made out. And as we said off the top, I think the Sharks, like the Roosters, have just been inconsistent. There's weeks when it looks like absolute world beaters, and then weeks it's like, oh, what's going on here? So I think, yeah, whether depends how the angry messages I get from my dad. I can tell how well he thinks the Sharks are going or how well they're not going. And yeah, there's been a few weeks of very angry messages coming through.
You should try he should try being a Sharks podcast host. You should see the messages they get. Sometimes I'm the reason that they lose well.
Well, yes, no doubt.
So 9 of the past 11. Is that correct? Roosters over Sharks?
I think so, yeah. We've got a pretty good record. I think the Sharks record all time, I think it's only worse against Manly.
Yeah.
And I think, 9 of the last 11, and I think 5 of the last 6 at Shark Park. I think there was that final a couple of years ago, the elimination final that I think we're under strength and won that one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 5 of the last 6 at Cronulla. So it's not a venue that we've had trouble at, but yeah, it's definitely it's not must win for either team, but these are one of those games that if you want to be playing finals, you've got to beat the teams around you. So it's one that I certainly won't expect the Roosters to win, but it's one that I would be hoping that they're up for. I think it's important that, these are the games that a win against you will go 2 points ahead of you, sort of secure us in the 8 for a week or so. I think that's the real thing around these games against Cronulla, against Manly, against the Dolphins, against these other teams in the lower part of the 8 that I think are really must win at the back end of the season.
So looking at the team list, the Sharks are kind of as per, which is good. And the Roosters, is there only the one big change or is there anything else happening there? I think it looks pretty solid.
It's the only change. Savala's injured his hand, so Townsend comes in for him. His first game for a while. He was a bit lambasted at the start of the year. Really, the only other players missing at the moment are Wong and Nat Butcher. So getting very close to full strength. But I think, Townsend was the shock selection for this week. But I think Sandon Smith wasn't great against the Tigers, I think it's fair to say, and played New South Wales Cup last week. Now, if you look at his stats, it looked like he had a good game, but Roosters fans that a lot of people might know off the social media, Al Katzman, he told me he was out at New South Wales Cup last week.
Of course he was.
Basically, they said when leaving the ground, he said that he'd be surprised if Robertson could pick Sandon Smith in first grade.
Now, did Al have a good seat there? Was his seat comfortable and close enough to the field? Or?
I'm sure it was comfortable enough for Al, and Al's a good man. I think people misunderstand.
I'm not suggesting he's not. Not suggesting he's not. I hope I see him this week.
He's forthright in his opinions, and he won't be swayed from his opinions. And I tend to agree with him that we shouldn't be playing finals at Shark Park, but that's not the time to be having this discussion.
I just hope he's comfortable this week at Shark Park. If he's not,
I'm sure.
Tell him to look out for someone like me, or very much more important, and we'll find him somewhere to sit. Now, Chad Townsend. Okay, first game in ages at the top level. I do have to put a bit of shade on someone we both know, young AJ from the league scene. He he was talking to me in the Fox Sports kitchen, and he said to me, Sandon Smith will be playing 5'8", like no doubt in the world. And I went, okay. And that's why when I tuned in at 4:00 on Tuesday, I was in complete shock. So even AJ got it wrong.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. Like, I didn't see the New South Wales Cup game, but yeah, the mail from Al was that Smith obviously had some problems in that game. Must have been some things gone wrong, and yeah, he said he'd be very surprised. Now, Chad, he comes in. Now, it could be, I guess, ironic that maybe this will be his last ever game of NRL playing the Sharks at Cronulla. I think he obviously just signed to be a backup for the Roosters this year, again, in the DCE role to try and give some experience to help the younger halves out coming through, especially with Sam Walker being out for the first half of the season. So, yeah, he was good in patches early in the year, but his defence, he got caught out a few times. But obviously his form in New South Wales Cup has been superior to what Sandon Smith put up last week, and so the coaches brought him in to do a job. Now, whether it plays out this way and they don't do a switch and put Watson at 5'8" and maybe start Docker Clay at hooker, could be, I guess, an option, and it's just named Townsend as a bit of a furphy. If he did do it as that, it's one of the great trolls of all time, is naming him to play the 5'8" to play against the Sharks at Cronulla. He might be trolling Roosters fans and Sharks fans. I said that on Twitter earlier in the week that it seemed to be a call out of nowhere, but
I don't think he'd do that to the player, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. And I just think that, he's there to do a job. Sam Walker's back now, so Sam Walker will be running the show, and maybe he's just there for a kicking game and to do a job and to give Sam Walker the ball and just be an option on the other side of the ruck and let Sam Walker run the show.
Now, this podcast gets a lot of mail about Chad even now, which is kind of weird. But, I'm someone that followed him in the lower grades. I was there when he debuted. I saw all 146 games of his for the Sharks, viewing, obviously not at all 146 games. Won a premiership with us, played an important role in the premiership year. People don't give him enough credit for that. If you don't give him enough credit for that, you need to go back and watch each game, because in some of the games, he was actually the best player. So it didn't end that well for him and for the club and for the fans, but he took a pretty smart deal to go to the Cowboys, and no one begrudges him that. But, I don't think it's a disaster for the Roosters, and I don't think it's a given for the Sharks to get a win because he's playing. Like, if there's one thing, and you know this about him, even through some stuff at Fox that he's done, he's the ultimate professional. Like, he's going to turn up, game face on, and he's going to give it everything he's got. And it doesn't matter he's been in Reggie's. It doesn't matter he's had weeks off. He's going to turn up and play. And that's what kind of concerns me. It's not whether he's still got it, the skill factor, whatever. It's the determination that guy shows that it just might get him across the line. So I think it's an absolute genius move by the coach. If the other fella's not ready, well, hey, we're playing the Sharks. This means something. It's going to mean a lot to Chad, I can tell you that.
Yeah, you think it would. I mean, not that players need extra motivation for matches. They're professionals. They go out and they do their best. But, it's one of these little intangible things, isn't it? It's like, this is the club. I won the comp here. It might be my last ever game in NRL. I'd love to have a win. And not to stick it to the Sharks fans, but maybe even just being back at a venue that you've had such success at and like such great memories and whatnot, that I think, there's that little bit in the back of your mind that I really want to win this. So, I'm sure, like you say, he'll be prepared, he'll be ready to go, and he'll do the job that the coach wants him to do. Yeah,
for sure. And I think, knowing Chad as well a little bit, that he's pretty old school. So he will have that kind of, not so much the revenge thing, but he will have that driving force to kind of, it'll be team first, but also, if I can get this, it'd be pretty sweet. No matter what happens next week, it'd be pretty sweet this week to beat the Sharks at Cronulla.
If we can get a Lance Thompson-like performance against that first game against the Dragons, what about that? I'd be very happy.
Hey, I was going to ask you, can you tell everyone your Johnny Lang story about how he used to greet you or say goodbye to you on the phone, and just give a bit of backstory into why you were talking to him?
So when I first started doing stats many years ago, was at NRL Stats, and this was before the internet was good enough to for all the coaches to download their vision. So what we used to do, we used to mail out hard drives to the clubs that were interstate, but for the Sydney clubs, we sort of had an area split up was the clubs that we'd do. And my run was I used to do the Roosters were at Wentworth Park. So I'd go there first. I'd go to the Tigers out at Concord. I'd do the Refs who had their headquarters at Homebush, and then out to Penrith, where Johnny Lang and Dave Stores were the Panthers coaches. And Johnny Lang was a great guy. He knew I was a Roosters fan, and he'd always – my couple of favourite stories about Johnny Lang was, one, I'd go all the way there, I'd load the system, hook up his new brick to do the vision, and you'd see him, he'd go, thanks, Wal, and then he'd stick the video in the video player and he'd play on the video. So he wasn't big on using the computer system. But the other favourite story was when Roosters played Panthers in the grand final in 2003. Was it 3 or 4? 3. We played the Panthers, and I'd been out there that week and whatnot, and they were having some problem, and Dave Stores had rung me to ask about it, and you could hear Johnny Lang in the background, and he was going, oh, is that Wally? And Stores, he's like, yeah, and so he was going, cock-a-doodle-doo! In the background. So, one of the great men, John Lang. I don't know, Sharks fans would probably all have very fond memories of him.
Absolutely.
Being there at the Sharks, and he was played for the Roosters, played hooker for the Roosters, and yeah, one of the great guys in rugby league, and really used to enjoy going out there to see. And everyone I used to deal with, they were all fun stories, and got to deal with a lot of the coaches in that job. So I did get to have a lot of fun. But John Lang, one of the all-time great, nice guys of rugby league.
He is. We won't tell the Melbourne stories on this episode, but maybe once Craig Bellamy retires, we can tell those ones. But
yeah, we can release that information.
Yeah. Now, before we let you go, Walter, give us a prediction.
I hate tipping the Roosters to win because I always feel like I've mocked them if they'd lose. I'm going to predict it's going to be a very close game, and we'll say I'll hope that the Roosters hang on and win by, let's say, like 24-20, something like that.
You might get a Minicello field goal.
Let's hope it doesn't come down to a field goal. That's not good for either of our mental health.
And one last question we ask everyone. I don't need to ask you who it is, but what have you been listening to? What's your favorite music at the moment? Genre, artists? What Weezer record are you listening to? Give me something.
Can I cop out and say that I've been listening to audiobooks? Can I do this as a thing?
That's a massive cop out.
It's a cop out. Well, obviously I listen to Weezer all the time. Just put it on Weezer Shuffle. But yeah, what I've been listening to, and I'm going to strongly encourage people to do this, there's a series of books. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's essentially a man and his cat fight space capitalism. It's completely out there. The premise sounds ridiculous. I'm absolutely hooked. I've just binged 7 books. I don't know how many hours that is in about 2 weeks, and I'm just going to start listening to them again because it's really funny. And if anybody likes audiobooks, like sort of sci-fi, D&D, Rick and Morty, that type of thing, get into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
When's the Netflix show coming out? It must be a show made out of that, surely.
I think actually Seth MacFarlane has just signed the rights to make the TV show. I'm not sure how far away it will be, but yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's by Matt Dinnerman. And I'd encourage people, if you want to read the books, but get it on Audible because the guy that does the voiceover, he does all of the voices. It's unbelievable until you see him doing it. It's the same person doing the man and the cat and all these other voices. And the cat talks like an English aristocrat. It's amazing. So get it out there. Dungeon Crawler Carl. Happy to spread the word.
Well, you have, and I'm sure our thousands of listeners, or at least the nerdy part of the thousands of listeners, will be into that.
And now thinking, what the hell is wrong with that guy? Never have him on again.
So how's Fox going? Everything cool there in the lab?
Yeah, very busy. It's that time of year. We've got NRLW coming, so we're doing 6 games of NRLW a week. We've got all the NRL, and we've got cricket starting very soon. The top end series, Australia v South Africa. Of course, we cover all the cricket now, and then very busy. Summer coming up, which I'm sure friend of the show, Brendan Woodbridge, is absolutely ready to go. An Ashes series, what's better? He loves it.
He does love it. What are you doing for the Ashes series overseas? Are you going to the rugby league tournament in England?
Yes, I booked my flights. I'm going over. I'll be in London the day before the first test at Wembley. It's that one's not sold out yet, but I think the numbers have been really good. Really looking forward to it. Nothing better than a Kangaroos v well, it used to be the Lions, but now it's England tour. And then, get to go to Wembley again. I went to Wembley in 2013. It's an amazing place. Everton's new ground for the second test, which I believe is sold out, which would be cool. And then over to Headingley and Leeds for the third test. So it's a bit of a whirlwind tour. I'm there basically the day before the first game, and I'll leave the day after the last game. So 2 and a bit weeks of I'm sure we'll be very much behaving ourselves here. No drinking or carrying on or jumping over to somewhere in Europe for 3 days just because it costs £20 to fly there.
Is someone got a bus together for you, like a mini bus? Or some sort of bus
No, there's no bus. I've got my mates over. I've got a few mates live in Wigan, so they'll be on the train down to London, and then we'll be. I'm not sure what the plan is yet for the whole tour, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of banter and singing and drinking and late night kebabs and going to Stone Roses pubs in Leeds, which I'm really, really looking forward.
Well, hang on. I mean, I know kind of what you're talking about, but what are you talking about? What's a Stone Roses pub?
My mates have this thing. There's a couple of them around in the north that basically they're pubs that essentially are a Stone Roses pub. So they play Stone Roses music on the jukebox. And I remember last time we were there, I went to one, and because it was uni night and they weren't playing Stone Roses, they were just playing all these songs that all the uni students like. And my mate Johnny was absolutely filthy. He went to the Stone Roses pub, but they weren't playing the Stone Roses. So must be big in the north over there. There's a couple of different towns. There's one in York. There's one in Leeds. There's probably more. It's just a thing that there's Stone Roses pub. So
that's amazing.
Looking forward to it.
Does that mean like there's Oasis supermarkets or something compared to the size of the bands?
I don't know. I have never been to an Oasis pub, but I've definitely been to 2 Stone Roses pubs. So whether it's the same guy owns them both or not, I'm not sure. But it's a thing. They're very big into music over there in the north, and you wouldn't think that you could go somewhere and the music could be so same but so different. But it's just amazing, like the different bands that are big in the UK that weren't big here, and even bands that the songs that are big over there are different to the songs that are big over here. And that was one of the first things that blew my mind when we travelled the first time was that, like, you'd listen to the radio and there'd be a band. You're like, I know this band, like I've never heard this song. And it'd be on the radio all the time. So it was one of the fun things of traveling, Shnaz, the booze, the food, and the music. It's always good. I love it.
Yeah, 3 of my favorite things. Thanks for your time, Walter. I know you're a busy dude, so appreciate you jumping on for our somewhat annual chat about the Chooks and the Sharks. Should be a great one. I'm looking forward to it. 6:00 down at the Sharks Stadium. And of course, if you're not there, you can watch it on the KO and the Fox exclusively. You can't watch it anywhere else, which is good for someone like you and I. And when you see all the stats, this guy is the head of it. He's in charge of the minions, as he calls us, getting the stats out. So
your Supercoach scores aren't my fault, though, so I don't want to hear anything about Supercoach scores.
No, but you're still sort of responsible, so that's the good thing.
No, not my fault. I'm happy to give you the phone number of the people that are responsible for Supercoach. Oh. You can take it up with them. But good luck to both sides. Let's just hope the best team wins, and everyone will have a great time out there at Al Katzman's favourite venue, Shark Park.
I just hope he's got a good seat. Well, I'm going to check on this. I'm going to do some research. I know a few people. We can get him into a corporate box, and I just hope the corporate box is going to be big enough and nice enough for him, I hope he doesn't block me from my own podcast. No, we love Al. Al's cool. It's good to have characters in the game. He's very up on not only what's happening like right now, currently throughout all the grades of the Roosters, but obviously historically he's really interested in stuff as well. Is he on
very knowledgeable?
He's not on the board. He's something.
I think he's on like the history committee. I think he's done a lot of work going through with the Roosters history and ensuring all the players' names are correct and that the lineups are right from every game from 1908. And just a proper tragic. The sport doesn't survive without tragics. And absolutely. I think it's great to have someone. And I'm lucky that I could consider him as one of my friends. So it's
well, any friend of yours is a friend of ours.
Thank you, Shnaz.
No worries. We will. Oh well. I was glad to have you here, and we will talk to you and everyone else soon. If you're hanging out for the Gaz and Shinaz show, we're not sure if that's happening today due to some stuff going on in his world, but we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, we'll see you down at Sharks Stadium. Can't wait. Up Cronulla. That's been Aaron Walter Wallace. I'm Sam Shinazzi, and we will talk to you soon. Up.